Today we're going to talk through how to wire our CompactLogix PLC trainer to go through your lessons. We're going to start at twcontrols.com/getting started. And this takes you step by step through what you need to do to unpack your trainer, assemble your options, read through getting familiar with it. And then step 3, we have our sample programs that are pre-installed, and we have our wiring enough to get started diagram. So we're going to open it, and we're going to go down to our RA5069. And this is going to talk us through how to wire it, but I also want us to understand a little bit about the why of what we are doing. So the first thing we need to understand here is what type of inputs do we have? And if we go over to the documentation for this input module, it says that we have a syncing input module. Now, later on, we'll go through some videos that are going to talk through this diagram right here. And for Allen Bradley PLCs, you put your hand over the type of input or output you're wiring, and your hand's going to represent the PLC. What is left is your circuit. Now, I can't put my hand over it, but I can scroll down so that you can imagine the PLC's down here. And that means we're going to take plus 24 volt up to all of our buttons, switches, and relay contacts and anything that's an input. And then we're going to come on over to our PLC input. And that's why over here we're taking the plus 24 volt and we're going to jumper it to all the buttons, switches, and our relay contact terminal number 11. And your trainer is going to come with a pack of wires and an Ethernet cable. And so let's turn the power off to our trainer, and then let's start connecting wires across all of our buttons and switches. Now, on our buttons, we actually have 2 contacts. We have a normally open and we have a normally closed. And we're going to go to the one that has the green in it. That is the normally open contact. So I'm going to put one wire in button 1, and then I'm going to take the other side of that wire and another wire, and we're going to connect it to button 2, again, the green contact. And we're just going to continue this all the way across. Now, when we get to switch 3, notice both of these are green. Switch 3, if I turn it to the left, this contact moves. If I turn it to the right, this contact moves. So we are going to jumper both of these as opposed to where we skipped one of the contacts on our buttons. So I'm going to put a wire into this contact, and then I will take that wire and connect it to the other contact on that exact same switch. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with switch 4. And while I know it looks like we're at the end of the line, we are still going to put an extra wire into switch 4's contact. And now we're going to take this extra wire down here to this left set of terminal blocks. So on your trainer, you have 2 groups of terminals here. This red jumper right here makes them all common. So these 16 points here are all connected together, and these 16 points are all connected together. This left set is your plus 24 volt. This right set is your minus 24 volts. So we're just going to plug it into any one of these on this left terminal, and that's going to take plus 24 volt up to all of our buttons. Then on our diagram, we're going to take button 1 to input 0, button 2 to input 1, and we're going to continue all the way across the trainer until we get to switch 4 going to input 9. Now, when you're looking at switch 4, we're going pretty much directly in order. So input 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll connect a wire to the bottom of the same contact on button 1 that we've connected a wire to at the top. And then on these modules here, these are spring terminals. So there's 2 ways you could do this. On the first one, I'm just going to shove the wire in, and it'll actually clip that way. Also, it goes in the left side. We'll see what the right side's for in just a second. Now on button 2, I'm going to put a wire in it. And this time, if it's hard to press in, you can actually take your screwdriver and go in the left contact and press the release, and that'll make it a little bit easier on you putting that wire in. And now we'll just continue all the way across. Okay, now here's where a lot of you get to, and I want to stop and explain why we're connecting the next wire, is we have applied plus 24 volt up to our buttons, and we have wired it back to our inputs. That puts voltage on our input modules. But as you're watching my videos, you'll hear me say a lot of times, do I have current? Because when we go to try to test this out, if we leave it just like this, it's not going to work. Because right now we have no way to get a path back to the common of our power supply. And if we look at our wiring diagram from Rockwell Automation, it's not really clear because they kind of have a plus here and they have a minus here, but it's going to a 3-wire sensor. So these 2-wire sensors don't appear to have anything going back to the common. And if I have an old school electrician, they usually just shove it down here in this bottom one because a lot of times they think, well, that's our common, but notice it says not used. So we have to look at the words up on this one. It says these modules use DC SA power. You must connect DC power to the device that supplies the SA power to the module. And so what they're talking about here is on our main PLC, we have a terminal block down here. This is our SA power. And so we have a plus, we have a minus, and we have a ground. Your ground is already connected. But what we need to do is take a wire from our plus 24 volt over here, which can be any of these, and we're going to put it into our SA plus over here. You'll have 2 places. It doesn't matter which one you put it in. Then we'll take a wire from a minus of our power supply, which is the right set of terminal blocks, and we're going to connect it to the SA minus terminal. Okay, that takes care of wiring of our inputs. Next, we have our outputs here. So over here, we had a common of our plus 24 volt because this was a syncing input module. On our output module, we need to know what type of module this is. And if we go over and look at the wiring diagram for that one, it says it's a sourcing output module. So if we go back up to the syncing and sourcing diagram, I'm going to cover up the part my input or output module is. So in this case, sourcing. So I'm just going to scroll down so you can't see that. And that means that our PLC is going to put out the positive power. It'll go to our load, such as our relay or light. And then it's going to come back around to the minus. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect a wire from each one of our lights. We're going to jumper them together the same way we jumpered those. Only this time, we're going to go up to the minus of our power supply. So I'm going to take one wire to the right side of light 1. It actually doesn't matter if you use the right or the left side as far as the lights. They do not care about polarity. And then I'm going to take 2 wires into light 2. And then we'll take that wire and one more wire over to light 3. And we'll take that wire and one more wire over to light 4. And then we're going to take that wire and connect it to the right set of terminals, which is our minus 24 volts. Now, additionally, over on our diagram, we have our relay coil. Now, notice this one does specify we need to go to A2 on it. So we're going to connect a wire from A2 of our relay and connect it to the right set of terminals, our minus 24. All right, now we're ready to connect our outputs up. So we're going to take a wire from output 0 to light 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and then 4 is going to go to A1 of our relay. All right, now similarly to on our inputs, the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we have current? So we've made a minus path to all of our lights and to our relays. We have them wired to our outputs. Where are our outputs getting their power? And kind of tricky here is we wired SA plus and SA minus, and we may think, well, we also powered our outputs there. But if we look at the wiring diagram from Rockwell Automation, in this case, we are using these 2 lower terminals. Now, in a real application, chances are these would be going to some type of safety. but in our wiring enough to get started, we're not going to talk about safety. So we're going to take our LA plus wire to the plus of our 24-volt power supply and the LA minus to the minus of our power supply. Connect a wire to the bottom terminal on our output module and the second from the bottom terminal on the output module. And now the bottom one is our minus. That's the LA minus. So it's going to go into the right set of terminals over here. And remember, if you're getting full on the bottom, you can use these top terminals up here also. And then we'll take the second from the bottom one, and that's going to be the LA plus wire. Okay, that almost gets us there, but I wanted to wait on the relay because we wired the relay full, but we also are going to wire the contact here. So if we look at our wiring diagram, then we additional to our relay coil on our left side, we have input 10. And so we're going to take plus 24 volt to terminal 11 on our relay, and we're going to come out on terminal 14 to input 10. So I'm going to take a wire on terminal number 11. And these are just push connects. You just push them in. And a wire on 14 at terminal 11, I'm going to take to our plus 24 volt. And the 14, I'm going to connect to terminal number 10 or input 10. Now let's go ahead and spin our trainer around, and we're going to power it up. And if we wired everything properly, when we press the green button, the green light will turn on. When you press the yellow button, the yellow light will turn on. We press the red button, the red light will come on. We press the blue button, the blue light will come on. Now, two things are going to happen when you turn switch 1. First, you're going to see a little bit of sequencing going on. That way you can get a little basic example that we can sequence some logic. And if we spin our trainer around, we also energized our relay. And if we've wired everything correctly, we can look here at input 10. And input 10 should be turning on and off as the relay energizes. That's where we wired our contact back. And then we have switch 2, and we turn switch 2 to the right. Our drive is going to start to run, and we see it's at 30 hertz right now. Now, if I turn switch 3 to the left, that bumps it down a little bit each time. So we can just keep on bumping it down. Or we can turn switch 3 to the right. We can bump it up a little bit each time. Now, if yours doesn't work that way, don't move on to the next lesson. Take your time and figure out what particular part isn't working. The ones that usually are the culprits are that SA plus and SA minus, because we don't fully understand the difference between voltage and current yet, and the LA plus and LA minus for the same reason. And after that, did you put plus 24 volt up here? Or did you put minus? Make sure you're on the right terminal. Similarly on the lights. And then you are ready to start with your first lesson. And I've created this playlist right here to get you started.